Cool. Okay. I'll get stuck in. Oh, someone else jumped in. Hey, Nadia. So this week we are going to build an agent that does a daily brief effectively. So every morning, Monday to Friday, it will check your emails and check your calendar, give you a bit of a summary of what's happening for the day, and then send that through to a Slack channel that you've set up just for yourself. So I'll jump straight into building it. I'm going to use an agent that we've built and published to the marketplace, which is a prompt engineer. So I'm going to talk to the prompt engineer about the agent that I want to build. It's going to help me write the instructions, and then we'll paste those instructions into a new agent, give it the tools that the agent will need to carry out the brief. Once we're happy with the format of the brief, then we'll schedule the task. It makes sense to get the brief right and be happy with the format of the brief in a chat thread in AutoHive. Once you're happy with that and it's nailing it, then you can schedule the task, and then you don't have to think about the agent again. You just get the Slack message every day. Awesome. So I'm in a workspace called Drone Zone. At the moment, there are no other agents in here. So to grab Queen Bee, first of all, which is the prompt engineer, I'm just going to hit the plus and go browse agents somewhere in this list. It's in alphabetical order. So Queen Bee, and I'll hit get agent. So now Queen Bee's in my workspace. I've effectively got a copy that I can work with. Before I do that, I'll authenticate the integrations as well that the agent is going to use. And then those integrations are available in this workspace for any subsequent agents that we will build. So I'm authenticating Calendar and Gmail and Slack so that it can use all of those tools to send a brief after it's looked in the right places. So I'll do Gmail first. I'm going to use my Raygun address because I've cleared that inbox and there's not so much on the calendar in there. So that's now authenticated for everyone in this workspace, and right now that's only me, so that's fine. Calendar, again using Raygun. This is the thing that we're still seeing, but we're waiting for approval from Google effectively. So we won't see this for too much longer. You can hit advanced and you can go to AutoHive and then press continue, and that will authenticate the calendar tool for you. I'll authenticate Slack as well so it knows where to send it to. I've created a different Slack space for this called Building Buzz. So, and it does ask you to select a channel. So for now, I'm going to give it permission to post in a public channel called Building Buzz, but we'll update that in a second. Cool. So now my agents in this workspace have access to these three tools, and that's what we needed. So now I'm going to use Queen Bee, and I'm just going to use my voice to prompt Queen Bee to explain what I want us to build. And Queen Bee will probably ask some clarifying questions and then start to write system instructions that we can use for this agent. So here goes. Okay, we are going to build a daily briefing agent. And this agent has a Gmail tool, a calendar tool, and a Slack tool. So every day, it should look at the calendar of meetings only on that day. And it should look at the Gmail inbox and look for unread emails. It can ignore read emails. It should read the content of unread emails and pull out any action items. So once it's carried out these tasks, it should formulate a daily brief that it will send to a Slack channel that I will configure. So please leave a placeholder in the system instructions for the ID of the Slack channel. And I would like the briefing format to emulate Gordon Ramsay, please. So it's going to take a minute just to transcribe what I've said. I'm using a third-party voice tool there for my Mac, which lets me just hold down a hotkey and talk, which is cool. There is a voice input here, but that prompt that I just gave was probably more than a minute of speaking, and I think we're limited to a minute at the moment, so it's easier to use the other one. Okay, so it's asking me some clarifying questions. I'll quickly answer these. And then it should start to write the instructions. So I would like it to speak to me like Gordon Ramsay, but maybe just keep the colorful language on the back burner. The calendar integration should only list who the meeting is with, and if it's an external company, it should use either the meeting title or the domain of the guests to look up the company that the meeting is with and give me 3 to 4 sentences of background on the company that I'm meeting with. So let me read the next one. For Gmail, how should the agent determine who constitutes an action item in emails? Are there specific keywords or phrases to look for? Okay, I'll answer that as soon as this one is finished transcribing. Would you like the daily brief to be sent at a specific time of day? So we'll take care of that with a scheduled task, so we don't really need to answer that one. Should it include any additional information? Okay, those are easy. I would like the agent to use its own judgment to determine, based on the semantic analysis, what an action item is within each unread email, please. Don't worry about the schedule for when it is sent, and don't worry about including any additional information. Okay, so I'll send this prompt now, and it should write some instructions for us, and we're going to use those and just copy and paste them into a new agent. Here we go. So don't worry too much about this block and maybe the fact it looks a bit intimidating with code tags around it. It's just it's a nice, neat and tidy way for certain language models to pass the instructions in a way that they can see all the different sections in it. So it's still writing. So you can see the power of using a prompt engineer for something like this. You get really detailed instructions. It's using a framework with different sections to write out the instructions, and it should lead to constraint and quite deliberate behavior, like expected behavior, without too much hallucination. Famous last words. So I'm going to copy these instructions now, and I'll come over to the plus and go create agent. Let's call it daily briefer. Gives me a daily brief into Slack. I'll choose an avatar. You can upload your own avatars or choose one off the shelf. For a job like this, we don't need a super powerful model. We don't need a Gemini 2.5 Pro or a GPT-5. I'll go with 4.1 mini. 4.0 mini would probably do as well. So I've pasted in the instructions. What I need to do is replace that placeholder with the actual channel ID. So we'll do that in a second. Looks like that's in a couple of different places in the instructions. 3 different places. Okay. So to find that, I'll just pull up Slack. This is the Slack space that I've created for it. I'll add a new channel, and I can make this a private channel just for me and the agent, so no one else gets my daily brief. It's a private daily brief. So we don't want to invite anyone else other than the app itself. So AutoHive is authenticated, so you can see it here in the list of apps. In my experience, the easiest way to make sure it will be able to post into the right channel is just add the app into the channel. And then Slack will ask me, yes, do you want to add them? Yes, I do. So now that's a channel between me and the app, and it should be okay and able to post into that. What we need now is just the channel ID. So in settings, in about, down at the bottom is channel ID. So I've copied that. Now we'll jump back to our system instructions and paste that in there. And paste it in there. And paste it in there. Cool. Let's say that this saves us half an hour every time we have a conversation with it of checking our own inbox and calendar. Now we'll give it those capabilities that we've already authenticated. So it needs calendar. It needs Gmail. and it needs Slack. Cool. We do want to give it full web search access because it will be doing a bit of background on any companies that we have external meetings with. We don't need it to search our internal content folders. That might just confuse things a little bit if we've got a bunch of documents in there. So that should be all we need to do. We did select the model. So now it's asking, where do I want to share it to? I want to keep this in the current workspace. I could, if I wanted, when you're creating an agent, you can share it to multiple workspaces. But for one like this, I'm going to keep this just in this workspace. So we'll take it for a test run and see how it's formatted. And then I can show you how to go through kind of like an evals process to improve, say, the format of the brief. Okay. So it's authenticated to my Raygun calendar. So it should find these 3 meetings. There's 2 made up ones in there with the North Face and Patagonia. And there's 1 email, I think, with 3 action items in my inbox. I like that you get nice descriptive tool calls of what it's doing as it goes through this process. Okay, so it's delivering right now. It's delivering it to me in the thread. I haven't had a Slack notification. So in order to fix that, we might jump back to Queen Bee and make sure that we train that into it. I'm reasonably happy with the brief. It's given me some background on the North Face, so it's done that, and the same with Patagonia. It's pulled out the action items from the email. No other unread emails. Your calendar is type up manageable. It is talking a bit like Gordon Ramsay. If we wanted to get super creative with it, you could create a brand voice agent for Gordon Ramsay and use that as a tool to write this. That's getting a bit more fancy. So I'm going to take these instructions back to Queen Bee and explain what it hasn't done. I'm just going to copy those. And I'll go back to the same conversation by finding the chat history. And I will say, okay, I just took this agent for a test drive and it nailed the format of the daily brief, but it did not deliver it to Slack. So I've included the system instructions as they are now, and it includes the channel ID for the Slack channel. So please add more explicit instructions to make sure that it always delivers the brief to the Slack channel. So it's just going to transcribe. I'll paste in the instructions below. I'm using these little tags to wrap the instructions in. It's not super important, but it helps the agent to understand the difference between what is an instruction for it and what is just something for it to read and understand but not act on. So Queen Bee is going to write them again. It should update somewhere in here to make it more clear that it should always deliver to Slack. So this is an evaluation process. Evals are an important part of building AI tools, agents, workflows. There's lots of different ways to do evals. We could get really specific and deliberate and use like a rubric to go through this process, or you can do it kind of quick and dirty like I'm doing now and just talking to a prompt engineer and saying, hey, it's not doing this thing, I want it to do this thing, and work through the instructions that way. Now, I think ultimately there's probably too much in here. There's a lot of information. It's a bit too verbose. That might be leading to the challenges that we're having with getting it to deliver to Slack. So I'm actually just going to say, simplify, get the key elements of the workflow that we need it to go through, but it's too verbose effectively. So I'm going to say that. Okay, it looks like there are too many words in these instructions. It looks far too verbose. The workflow that the agent has to go through is fairly simple. So it should check Gmail, check calendar, do the background research on any external companies, and then it should format its brief and send it to Slack. Sending to Slack is the important part once it's formatted the brief. But please make these instructions far less verbose. We don't need this much in here. hopefully we should get a smaller version this time. There are ways to control the amount of output that we might get from Queen Bee and also from any other agent that you build. One of those is temperature. The more creativity a agent has, sometimes the more that you get from it. So this looks far better to me. We've got the Slack channel ID. Right, let's go and update Daily Briefer again. It's got all the same tools, so we don't need to change anything there. Okay, please send today's brief to Slack for me. Oops. Here we go. So we'll get the same descriptions of the tool calls, hopefully. Again, it's using the Raygun calendar with one email and a few different meetings. It doesn't appear to be sending to Slack. Oh, it has sent to Slack. Okay, there we go. Cool. I just didn't get the notification. Cool. So there it is. That's the daily brief that we get. If when you go through this process, you don't like the brief that you get, maybe you want more information or you want the links to the meetings that you've got on your calendar. Those are all things you can go through in an evals process with Queen Bee. So you would just paste in the instructions and say, I like what it did here, but I don't like this and I don't like this. So can you help me to rewrite these instructions? And I'm not absolutely convinced that by making it write less, it improved its output, but I always think that helps. Sometimes they can be quite verbose if you allow them to be. So it's always good to be on top of. Sometimes more is not always better. Cool. So that's how you build your daily briefer. The next and last step would be to then schedule this as a task. So you would go. Sorry, I probably skipped over that a bit quickly. You go to the scheduled tab and go create job. And we'll go daily brief, select an agent, daily briefer, start tomorrow at 8 a.m. before the day starts. And then every weekday, Monday to Friday, ends never. And then the prompt or the job instructions is effectively the prompt. So it would be, please check Gmail and calendar, format your daily brief, and send to Slack for me. Another way to sort of safeguard it or make sure that it always sends to Slack is you could put the Slack channel ID in the user message in the instructions as well as in the system instructions. It's not always necessary, but it might help. So let's go Slack channel with ID, and I'll jump back and grab that again. Cool. So now that daily brief will run at 8 o'clock every morning, and you should open Slack and see in your private channel an update on exactly what you've got coming for the day.